Hello, welcome to today's edition of the Academy. This is part 2 of our look at concentration of force. Now, last time we talked about the concentration of force with respect to destroying units as an objective. This week, or this edition, we will actually cover talking about concentration of force when it comes to objectives. That's a little different, but the same concept applies. Okay, so let's review real quickly. I'll use Clausewitz's words again, just because that's where we start with this. We're trying to concentrate our power, in this case with physical bodies, as much as possible against a section where the chief blows are to fall, to incur disadvantages elsewhere, so their chance of success will increase at that decisive point. Now remember, we're dealing with an objective that we're trying to hold. That decisive point is the victory points you're going to earn. Now, in a Maelstrom game, that will change potentially turn for turn. But what happens when you get that turn when you've got two cards of the same objective? That's a very decisive objective. And so this becomes even more important. In Eternal War missions, often those victory points are 3 per objective. So every single one matters. And so securing them with your concentration of force or mass will make a difference. And the key here, the second aspect that he highlights in this concept, is we have to use the entire force with the utmost energy without never waste time. And that's extremely important. Let me give you a quick example of why, and then we'll talk about the rest of the details. I was fighting an opponent once, AdMech. Actually, it was a 30K AdMech army. I had my Dark Eldar. Nothing really fancy. It wasn't a competitive list. Didn't have a wide range of models, but I still had some good stuff, and I did have some web portals, so I could do some good close combat. I had I think I had two Ravagers. No, I only had one at the time. Yeah, it was just one Ravager, and then a couple Raiders with Cabalites in them, and then a couple Cabalites coming off the side too. Nothing really overly powerful, but I was going up against some pretty heavy duty stuff. I had a super heavy on my far left. And again, fortunately, I deployed second. I deployed everything to my right. So his shorter ranged, massive, heavy tank had a long way to go before it could get into range, and it had to work its way around some terrain that was line of sight blocking. So I pretty much neutered that for 3 turns. But that's not the key for this particular example. Anyway, going through, the battle was really tense, and it was a real close thing. We were each getting, losing units left and right, and he'd deep strike in, I'd his unit, I'd deep strike in, kill something, and then he'd kill me back. It was a murder fest. It was Emperor's Will mission, so there were only 2 objectives, one in my deployment zone, one in his, on opposite corners, which was interesting. He held his with 3 tanks, he held his near 3 tanks. There was none of the tanks were in range to actually hold it. He had another unit actually nearby, and ended up putting one of his tanks in position to be the objective secured, or to secure that objective. He wasn't an OBSEC unit, and I had Cabalites in a Raider in a combined arms detachment, so it was OBSEC. And I had my unit, my objective, the one behind in my deployment zone, was being threatened by his units, and he was handling me really, really well back there. I had plenty of units around to whittle him down, and I had OBSEC, he had OBSEC, so it was a real contest for that objective. I second-guessed myself, and instead of moving 12 and then going flat out to land on that objective in my opponent's deployment zone with an objective secured unit, I decided to hold that unit back just one more turn to put some extra fire with those splinter racks to do some extra damage to the unit that was threatening mine. I wish I had not done that, because I could not move far enough to secure that objective the next turn, because the game ended. It was turn 5. I chose to shoot him up thinking, I can get it, no problem. Unfortunately, it went on this turn 6, and that was sunk. It didn't go on turn 6. I mean, it's like the game was a draw. I popped his tank, so he didn't have his. We contested mine, so neither of us had mine. He had first blood, I think it was, and I had Slay the Warlord the other way around. He had Slay the Warlord, I had first blood, and both of us had Line Breaker. It was a draw. 5 turns, a murder fest, a draw. 0 points. No, actually, neither of us. It was basically 0 points for score because first blood was not part of the mission scenarios. So score was 0-0 because we contested one objective and neither one of us held the other one. All because I did not use the unit that was designed to hold an objective properly. So that's what you got to watch out for. So how do we do this whole thing about securing objectives with this concept of concentration of force? So always keep in mind that that 4 of the 6 Eternal War missions are about holding objectives. 1/2 to 2/3 of the Maelstrom cards are about holding objectives, so it's always important. Now, secure objective comes in a lot of different ways. Even line breakers, a type of secure objective. Sometimes the game, not the scenario itself, but elements within the scenario will put you into space. For example, Promethean pipes. If you're next to it, you get a bonus to your flamers. Void shield generator. If you're inside of the radius, you get the void shield. So that's sort of an objective secure kind of a situation. You want to occupy a position and not get dislodged from it, okay? And then, like I said, there's all these additional situations where you're going to want to occupy a local area. In concentrating your force, in objective secured situations, you are trying to preserve the objective securing unit as long as possible to make it survive so that it can do its job long enough to score the points. Internal War mission, it's a little bit harder because it's all at the end of the game. So you might have to hold them back and then go for a blitz and take it at the end. Or put them inside a transport and never leave until let the transport sit on top of it. Transport, if it's dedicated, holds the objective with obsec if it's a troop. Otherwise, it holds the objective normally. Pop it, infantry come out, and guess what? They're holding the objective. Then you got to shoot them down. They can go to ground, get more cover. They don't have to shoot back. They just need to hold that objective. Obviously, for a given objective, you have to place enough units and models on that objective so they won't all get kicked off. Like I said, putting troops, especially the ones with heavier armor, in a transport, it's a great way to do it. Putting a high armor value vehicle on top of the objective. Nothing is more annoying than a land raider sitting on top of an objective, because you can't be 1 inch from the hull and still be 3 inches from the objective. That is so annoying. You can hide the infantry behind line of sight blocking terrain. You can't be seen, can't be shot. And now guess what? If there's an objective on the other side of that wall, you're within 3 inches, you hold it. The enemy can't shoot you if he can't see you, right? Now, okay, yeah, I know, barrages. Don't worry about those. That's something out there. But you can't always assume you're going to go against barrages and discount the idea completely. Now, one thing you can also do is layer your defense. So push your unit up to hold the objective. Push a unit past them to put a screen. Even bikes, put a screen beyond them because those are more resilient. To keep anything from coming at, your main unit that's holding the objective will get a cover save because it's shooting through one of your units. And they won't get charged unless it's assault troops that can, jump pack over. Okay, that could happen. Wait, no, no. Yeah, it can. Yeah, that's right. They'll ignore. They'll go right over. But normally, you're not dealing with those. But again, if you put your screen 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches in front of your unit, there is no place for that. No, yeah, it has to be 1.5 inches from your unit. No place for those guys to come in and land without being within 1 inch of the unit they're not charging. That blocks the charge. So there's ways to position your units to block and protect your objective holding unit. So multiple units on an objective is a very good way of securing it, whether it's for a Maelstrom or later. Remember, denying your opponent objective or sitting on it hoping you're going to get something later, or Eternal War mission, always definitely do that. Now the thing is, it's going to be kind of hard for an elite army to do. Elite armies are classified usually as ones with high power output but low model count. Obviously you don't have a whole lot of units, you can't secure a lot of objectives, and you often don't have a lot of objective secured models in general. But here's where the multiple small unit, MSU, really shines, because the more minimal sized units you have, the more objectives you can take. The more units that are holding an objective, or in position to hold it, the opponent's going to have to go through 2 units. Let's use an example of, we'll use Grey Knights. I don't know Grey Knights Codex really well, but I think they're Purifiers. I think it's a 5-squad basic. Put 2 5-man squads right next to each other on either side of the objective. You can't. Let's just say the opponent fires everything into one, takes out 4 of the guys. Okay, it's a morale check. Maybe it'll fail, but there's still 5 other guys holding on. If it was a 10-man squad and 4 guys got killed and the whole thing lost its morale check, they'd all fall back. So you can see the MSU makes a difference. Okay, so you want to put as many of those in and build out the combined arms detachment with as many troops as you can so you get that objective secured. Then bolster it up with the other anti-threats that you need using the same principles we talked about in the economy of force. And remember, economy of force helps you do, if you do that well, helps you do concentration of force very well, even in the objective secured area. Again, with elite armies, careful of attrition. You may have to just forego putting your armies out there to deal damage so you can protect them, hide them, as heroic as that doesn't sound, so that you'll survive long enough to hold the objective that you need. Some of the Maelstrom cards require you to hold, the supremacy cards, hold an objective for 2 turns. Actually, I think there's some special codex cards that have that kind of a rule too. You want to be able to do that, so protect as much as you can. Don't take undue risks with them. Now again, for Eternal War missions, by all means, do not go for the objective first turn. Do not put your units in that danger. Focus on destroying your opponent and put your position, maneuver your units much like you would in chess, to position them so that they can take or contest the objectives on turn 5. Yes, the game can go to turn 6 and 7. You never know when it will, but 5 is when you have to make sure you do it. I narrowly escaped. I shouldn't say all the way around. I narrowly lost a game because I had my guys in the position on turn 5 to hold the objectives and contest other ones, but it went on turn 6 and I got wiped off those objectives. I would have won if it ended on turn 5. It didn't. I lost. That's okay. It happens. But still, you have to get on turn 5 because if it does end, you need to be able to win. You can't say, well, 2/3 of the time it's going to go to turn 6. Don't do that, because as soon as you do that, it's going to be the 1 or 2 that's rolled. All right. Okay, so that's the concept from an objective securing perspective. Concentration of force, or mass is really appropriate here. Concentration of mass, putting multiple units heavily stacked, whether it's inside transports or multiple units shielding one another on or near an objective, so that it takes an awful lot to get them off. Okay, so hope that was helpful to you. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them below. Especially if anything's unclear, I'll be glad to go over it again, either answer it in the comments themselves, or I'll just do another video to try to clarify things. If you, please share, like, and subscribe. If you have any other topics you want me to kind of consider, please shoot them my way. I've got a lot of ideas, but obviously they're my ideas. So they're not necessarily what you're going to want to hear next. But just let me know, and thanks for sticking with me. See you in the next Academy. Bye-bye.